recording in progress. And now, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
I'm gonna leave this
that.
shit. I don't want to
Yeah.
be recorded.
So now I'm recording with Zoom on that one, and come on, and I'm recording. Got it. With my shit on this one. Okay, so we are trying. For everybody listening, we're trying something new. And what does immersive mean? Whoa, I don't want that. Speaker? Yeah, no. Gallery. We'll do that. We'll do gallery. Um, for everybody listening, we're just trying something new. It's really not important, but yeah, we are going to talk about Fauci and shit, and as people have learned when we talk, then we talk about the important topics when we are not good little Juden. Get on the train, Juden. No, well, right now we are talking out against the Fuhrer. We heard that he has gas problems, which is true. Adolf Hitler actually had gas problems. That's why he went for morning walks in the woods, because so he could go.
Oh.
Which to me is hilarious. That somewhere in space and time,
Get crop dust
there
all
was
the
that. There
little
was
animal critters.
what I love is there was a point in time that if you a far enough away alien planet could look at Earth, and if they looked at the right space and time quadrant, they could see a Hitler with bags under his eyes because he just got up, just walking around, just.
Just lighten it up.
To me, there's just something beautiful about that. Um, but yeah, we're going to talk about Fauci, and because of that, this channel will be iced if I leave it up there. It was first you couldn't talk about election fraud, and then you couldn't talk about the vaccine, and I can only imagine they will slowly increase the number of things you can't talk about because, surprise, it never stops on one thing. It's just we'll just get rid of the Jews, promise.
Just
Maybe we
fucking stay
won't.
in line, Tommy. I
Just
mean, you don't even have. They
but
tell you everything. You don't have to question
just
anything,
stay
right?
in line. I don't understand why you walk around Hans. I don't understand either. You have schnitzel, and it's just like, dude, just get in the oven. Just get in the fucking oven. Don't you
It's
understand that
warm in there.
we're
It's fucking
trying to
warm.
clean society, guys? Take a shower, Jesus. I mean, but so, and it is for everybody listening. This is my buddy JP. Everyone also knows
Howdy,
Rob.
howdy.
JP and Rob were my oldest brother, who, although has never been on an episode, has almost been part of every episode because I talk about him. My oldest brother, John, and JP and Rob were John's best friends. I would say even over me, which I'll take that. I'll take my slug on the. I'll take it on the chin. But
It happens.
it does. It does. JP is currently broadcasting live from Abbottabad, Pakistan. He works for the ISI, and because I don't want to get killed, JP works for the Air Force. That was a joke. And yeah, you may be wondering what is the topic of today's episode. It's whatever we want, and we normally talk about fondling balls and other.
Very important.
But yeah, man, we haven't chatted in a while, so let's just.
It has been a minute. Yeah, I think the last time that I was on was around like maybe right when the pandemic kind of kicked off. Me and Rob had like just a bullshit episode with you, but
Yeah, I think
it's been a
the
minute.
last episode. It might have been the friendlies episode.
Yeah, I think it was.
We talked about this was this is right when the riots were kicking off last year. We were talking about how in like the Middle East and like war zones, it's the terrorists always surround themselves with kids, so you can't shoot. And we were saying like, man, what black people should start doing when they riot is so the white cops don't shoot them, is they should hold up like little white girls with clogs and like blonde braided hair. I mean, not even kind of like propaganda, straight out of like late 19th
Right.
Germany. Like
Poster child, yeah.
like Helga, and man, I didn't even think about it, but I mean that is Greta Thunberg though, right?
Oh, it totally is.
Well,
Yeah.
you do hold up someone, but I think that was our last brilliant broadcast, and surprisingly, the channel hasn't been taken down. It's gotten close. It's gotten very close to being taken down, but we're not down yet. But so speaking of Fauci, today is Saturday, June 5th, 2021 at 1:23 p.m. Eastern time, And it is slowly coming out about Fauci's emails, about Fauci saying in emails that this is like what, January, February, March 2020,
Yeah, right when everybody started freaking out about it.
saying that commercial masks don't work because the pores are too large to stop nanoparticulate, which is true. That's not a stab at Fauci. That's accurate. That's
Right, yeah.
that's actually the reason why I got my second suspension, was because I had an MD PhD from Cambridge saying that the pores on a mask were too large.
How dare you? Yeah, how dare you?
But fuck me, right? So we've always been at war with Eurasia, so it doesn't matter. But I thought it was interesting because, now granted, everyone, you kind of see a lot of conspiracy posts now. Like, I was saying this was made in the lab last year. Like, that's not an original thought. Like, you and I were also saying it was made in the lab.
Right, yeah.
You know, if somehow in 100 years it comes out that there was indeed a grassy knoll shooter, that doesn't vindicate all of us, because we don't have any evidence either. Anyone can say there's probably a second shooter for JFK, but it's
Sure, yeah. And but I think that's what the problem is. Like, we weren't even allowed to speculate. Like, we literally had to swallow the narrative hook, line, and sinker. It's like, you either take it all or you're fucking right wing conspiracy theorist nut, and it's just fucking stupid.
that's what I always bring up, is like, you're allowed to talk about every JFK theory. Granted, some of my videos have actually there's a JFK tag under it. You know, the little YouTube like info.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This could be misinformation. Yeah.
Try to as Don the Pleb said, I try to collect them all like Pokemon. The easiest one to get is COVID. It's actually, and then the second one's actually a little more rare now, because there's a catch-22. If you bring it up, you actually get banned. But some of my old episodes have it. The election fraud, robust safeguards protect the U.S. election.
Yeah.
So I got the COVID. I got stacks of those. My rarer ones are JFK. I got a JFK tag. I actually got it's kind of like a holographic Pokemon. I got a JFK tag on JFK's anniversary, talking to a New York Times bestseller who wrote a book about JFK.
You need to screenshot that and like frame it.
That's like a signed Babe Ruth, right? That's
right.
That is like an original. That's like a Federal Reserve dollar, like Unit 1. Like, it's like one of those like double like heads pennies from like World War II.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I have a JFK on JFK about JFK. A little more difficult to get is the Area 51 tag. I don't know why it's more difficult to get, but they just have a little Groom Lake is an Air Force base in the Nevada test, and it's like, okay, but you can't always get it. It's odd.
That's weird.
Surprisingly, the hardest one to get that I have found is the QAnon tag. And I think I only got it once, and I think the video is removed, so I don't have it anymore. But it was my favorite YouTube tag, because it's got the little blue kind of faggoty box, and it's like, YouTube misinformation warning.
Yeah.
And what I loved about it is they have like their logo, and it's all professional, but I love, because with all the YouTube tags, what it is it's like the top line of like a Wikipedia article, so you just have the first couple words and then ...
Mm-hmm.
But I love the QAnon tag because it was this fancy official looking tag. But then it just says the first couple words, which is a far right conspiracy that a bunch of cannibalistic, satanic pedophiles run the world. I just loved having it. Just, like, I love that. I loved that. It's like Morgan Freeman saying titty sprinkles. Like, I just loved having that official like YouTube warning about the satanic cannibals.
Yeah.
But I don't have it anymore. So I don't know where we're going with that. Point is you can always talk about all these things, right? Like, side note, whenever I have you on, I don't sleep well the night before.
I don't either. That's funny that you mentioned that.
It always happens with you. No one else.
I got about 3 hours of sleep last night because I was watching the Avs game, and they got I wouldn't say they got their asses kicked. The Golden Knights lucked out, and they sunk 2 goals, one right after another, but it's beyond the point. But yeah, I came home, I had drunk a little bit, and I was like, well, I ain't going to bed drunk, so I'm going to play video games till 3:30. And then I went to bed, and I was like, oh, my alarm went off at 7 o'clock, so I'm up.
Why not go to bed drunk? Is that bad?
I don't like doing it because then I feel like worse in the morning. So I try to give myself, like, if I've had too much to drink, I try to give myself like maybe some time to like ingest some water and rehydrate myself. And And then when I drink all that water, it's like, well, now you got to wait to pee it all out,
Yeah.
so you're not waking up in the middle of the night. So it's a vicious cycle. But yeah.
I don't even have that excuse. I was sitting up till like 4 a.m. watching like water cooled PC videos. Mind you, I have a MacBook and I have no intention of having anything other than an Apple.
I've seen your jerry rigged freaking ventilation system.
Hey.
Have you fixed that?
Hey, it's great. It's fucking great. Because now what he's talking about is my HVAC Pro, and it's I got some tubing from Amazon, and I piped it down because I'm in my own apartment now. Thank God, thank Christ. I have it, and I took it and put it up on my my AC vent on the ceiling, and I couldn't really get it to stick, so I just jammed some pencils in there, and it's been stuck there for 2 months, so it's not coming back. and I hosed them down, and everyone knows I've got the box fan. That's my cooling system. And right up behind it, I just have 2 tubes coming out. And it's like 60-degree air. And then when as soon as I finish recording and it starts editing and processing, I crank up the box fan. And then I have like this little like thermometer thing on this side. Mm-hmm. And it works because let's say it's 70 degrees in my apartment. When I start like editing and I'm moving back, editing, I just mean like export, like compressing it and exporting it.
Sure, yeah.
The suction on this thing. So if it's 70 and I turn on this little like it's a vacuum thermometer, you're supposed to like put it on the side of like an Xbox. It sucks out the hot air. Mm-hmm. I just kind of use it to like gauge this. It'll come out of 70, so it's accurate. Once I start editing, the air coming out on here will start being like 88, 90, which is expected. A computer keeps up. Yeah. When I jack up my jet engine cooler with the cold air coming out, if I do it before I start editing, again, it's accurate. It will read 60 degrees Fahrenheit, just coming right here.
Nice.
Now think, a MacBook's what, a foot wide? I don't know how fast the air is coming out of a box fan at like point blank at full speed, but I imagine if you could measure it, it's probably, I don't know, it crosses the 1 foot gap in a fraction of a second. Mm-hmm. When editing, the 60-degree air from the time it goes from here to here, in a fraction of a second, it will heat up from 60 to like 75.
Wow.
So it does work, and I'll accept your apology, you faggot. It fucking works. Fix it.
Look, I wasn't talking about its, incapability. I was just simply saying it's jerry rigged. That's all.
I mean, are you compensating for nothing? It's large. It works, right? It's the job done. It's what it was born with. It's like, what are you talking about, Tommy? I'm like, every AC has this problem. The tubes.
You're projecting, Tommy.
Tommy, it's all right, buddy. It's all right. I'm like, it tries, but but yeah, it's well, no. And then I put up all these sound panels around me, and then I hung these like moving mats from the ceiling, and so I have this like part of my room is probably say like 40% of my room is cubicled off,
sectioned off. Yeah,
I mean truly floor to ceiling. No,
I didn't know that you had your own apartment either. That's cool.
Yeah, I moved out. Actually, I moved out like 2 days after John's anniversary, so like April 17th. Okay. Yeah, it's very, very new. I love it. It was a big step. It was a little terrifying at first, but I love it. It's everything I thought it would be. And but my apartment is essentially it's like 800 square feet. It's just I live in it. It's my bed is about 4 feet that way. It's
right.
This thing is like it's like creepy. It's just this big black box, and when you're in the room, it's like it looks like a fume hood. It looks like I'm cooking something in here. Like it. My setup used to look like an ATF hazard. Now it looks like a DEA hazard. It definitely looks like I'm like Walter Whiting.
Yeah, that's an upgrade. So that's good.
Yeah, right. So but because of that, this little room gets toasty, as you can imagine, because this sound absorbing material is also insulating.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now my HVAC Pro also serves as ventilation.
Nice.
So now I cold air. None of these are questions you asked. All of them are things I answered. And don't worry, it is all fireproof, but just in case, I will not die in my little podcast hole. It's
good. Don't do that.
More importantly, if anyone was hoping this conversation was going to go somewhere, save your.
Not.
Time
Yeah.
out now. Go do
It's
something.
mostly me and Tommy like catching back up, and then we might talk about Fauci here and
It
there.
happens to be recording. That's what this is. It's like we're talking, and this happens to be recording. So, where were we? Oh yeah, sitting up all night. Yeah, dude. So I was watching these. Like, I've been getting really interested in like water cooled shit. Again, not that I'll ever have one, but I thought it was interesting, and I've always been interested in heat transfer, which is a weird thing, but I've never wanted to be a physicist or an engineer like John. But it's always interested me. I just something to me it's a game. How do you transfer insulate? And so like there's water cooling, which is copper. Copper is the most heat conductive metal. So what that is like I never knew what it was, but so what water cooling is it's like a little copper plate that you like attach to whatever component of your machine, a CPU, a GPU, or whatever, and then you attach that with like thermal conductive paste, so like glue, and then that copper thing, the backside of it has like a little like rubber ball almost, and that's where like fluid is. And then there's like a tube going away and a tube coming towards it. So the fluid's constantly changing. So the computer is heating up the copper, which is heating up the fluid, and the fluid, it goes out towards like a radiator fan, which blows it all, which, radiates the heat. That's where you have those weird kind of like metal things where it's a bunch of fins because it's radiating. Yeah. And then the colder water comes back. And the water doesn't even have to be cold. If the water is even 50 degrees, that's still insane because fluid, or specifically H2O, conducts heat 25 times faster than air. So whereas I with my HVAC Pro, even just like a Ziploc bag of water would do it more efficiently. So I thought that was interesting. What I found is there are these guys that they use mineral oil, which apparently has zero conductivity. Like you could stand in like a bathtub of like mineral oil and like drop a toaster in it and you would be fine.
No shit. Wow.
Zero conductivity.
Wow.
So what guys do is they disassemble their PC, they get a big aquarium tank, and they just lay the pieces down. It's all connected, but there's just like a graphics card, and there's like a motherboard, there's like a hard drive, and it kind of makes your brain crack because you see them and they're putting it in there, and then they just start dumping oil in it, and you're like, are you just? It kind of looks like one of those channels where kids just break really expensive shit because it gets
right. Yeah.
It's like I got a new iPhone and threw it in lava, and you're like, why? But then it's got 100 million views, and the kid just made $100,000.
Right. Yeah.
But it's all this top of the line shit, and they're just dumping clear oil on it. I mean, it almost looks like lube, and you're like, why are you doing this? But I never knew this, and despite getting into medical school and thinking I had a grasp on some science, I didn't know that it wasn't the water that destroyed electronics. It was its ability to discharge electricity. Not the actual
I didn't know
water.
that either.
Yeah. It's not the actual water. It's because it's so conductive.
But that makes more sense, honestly. I mean,
yeah, well,
because
you're like, well, it's not acid, right? It's not acid, so why would it destroy it? So you can just truly, it's not that they're in like a thin casing of plastic. They're just submerged in oil.
And the PC is running and like functioning while doing it? That's fucking insane.
Not just running and functioning, excelling. Record times, because there is no greater. Water cooling is already effective, and it's just a little copper thing touching it. This is fully submerged in a heat sink. And some guys will have them, they'll be 20 gallons, and they'll have those things connected to industrial cooling devices. Now is it cheap? Not at all. But I mean, goddamn, you can have things running at like, it'd be like if you had like a fighter jet running at afterburner 24/7.
Yeah.
We're able to just, because the limiting factor is what they're physically capable of, like the electronics, but the limiting factor is heat. Like it's heat.
The distribution. Yeah.
So these things are just it's kind of like a nuclear sub. They're just in an infinite heat sink. Now you may be wondering, what is the importance of that? Absolutely not. That's just why I didn't get a lot of sleep.
Right, exactly. But here we are.
That was a very long explanation.
You should send me that video because my father-in-law would be super into that. Like, he would lose his mind. So,
dude, I will send it. And then there's the next level, and it's Bitcoin mining, right? Which I kind of know like the surface of, It's basically they use a bunch of GPUs. That's why graphics cards cost a lot. And they kind of put them in series, and the rest to me is black magic. It's just alchemy,
Right.
like South Park and the Federal Reserve, like the kazoo with the chicken, like like it bail out. It means nothing to me. But so I found this channel, and it's this dude in like Ukraine, and he's like, "We have best Bitcoin mining farm," and he looks like what's in suspiciously like a nuclear silo, and he has these big like almost like these like meat chests, something you'd see in like a basement, like a big freezer you open up, but in it it's just full of graphics cards in series submerged in oil.
Oh wow, yeah.
So he's running these things at like 40 degrees. He's like, I've been running this for 800 straight days, and it's overclocked at its maximum. So he's hitting like the world record, like the things people brag about, like my computer for, I think like Nick Phelps's, his editing computer for a brief moment was like the fastest for like a couple days. He's like, I've been running at like peak, it's like GTA, like peak money. His thing is just running like throttled to the maximum limit for over 2 years straight.
That's insane. Oh my God.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. And so I found that guy's channel and I emailed him. I want to get him on my podcast.
Oh, dude, that'd be an awesome show. Yeah.
Hey, I'll send you the Bitcoin one right now. Yeah, it's insane. And then the mineral oil PC. It breaks my brain. Let me try to find it.
Got it.
Yeah, that one was badass, and I don't know. I'll find I don't know where I put it. But this isn't interesting for people listening, so I won't keep doing this. But I kind of want to keep doing it. Yeah, I can't because I'll do this. Oh, here it is. Fuck yeah, I found it. I'll email it.
I'm just looking at the screen cap for the video. I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
Wow.
I just sent you the mineral oil PC one, dude. It breaks your brain looking at it. There was no purpose to any of that. Point being is we're now finding that it seems like all roads are leading back to Wuhan, which we already know. But there's a quote I had heard from Mr. Jeffrey Prather, who I had on my podcast twice now. He's a former DIA guy, he retired. But he read this quote, which I didn't think it sounded too good. And by too good, I mean too evil. But like, it was from I mean, again, it sounds like a South Park Chinese name, King Kinping, but it's a quote from him in March 2021. In 2020, China won the trade war. China won the trade, science, and technology war, and especially the biological war. The achievement is unprecedented. This is an epoch-making historical record. So for the liberal America-worshipping cult within China, their worship of the U.S. is actually unfounded. After this trade war and biological warfare, the U.S. was beaten back into its original shape.
Yep. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Like, it's not good, but like, you have to respect your enemy. It makes sense. Trump was bringing a trade war against them because an all-out kinetic war is just everyone loses.
Right. Yeah.
So it's asymmetrical fifth-generation warfare, including biological weapons. Yeah. China Institute, researcher Chen Ping, Institute at the University of, or the Chinese Communist Party linked Institute of Fudan. Yeah. Ping, who has authored 51 publications and is the recipient of 812 citations, said that the Western model has failed, their civilization is doomed, the CCP has won and will lead the way of modernization in the new era after the biological revolution and the coming biological wars.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, what was the deadliest U.S. war behind the Civil War? Was it Korea? Did we lose the most in Korea?
I know Korea was bad, but I still think World War II has that title. I mean, I'm not a historian. I don't know, but
Me neither.
My limited knowledge and scope. Yeah, I think World War II still holds that.
Most U.S. deaths in a war. Well, the Civil War, obviously, because
because it's American on American. Yeah.
Wars rank. Yeah, you're right. World War II, 291.
I'm a historian. Suck it.
Wars ranked by U.S. combat deaths. Oh no, you were absolutely right. 200 is that right? 291,000 World War II, only 33,000 in Korea.
See, I think Korea was just bad because it was the first one that was widely televised. So like everybody was, everyone was getting the fire hose of all the information, all the deaths that we were having. Like, why the hell are we there? And
Yeah. Yeah.
to a point, like, yeah, I completely agree. But at the same
Yeah.
time, like,
Yeah.
but
And not trying to make light of it when I say only, obviously 33.
right, yeah, exactly. I didn't think that either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but it's ranked number 5. Vietnam is 4, World War I is 3, Civil War is 2, World War II is 1. Wait, no, Civil War is technically 1 with 683,000, so it's 3 times that of World War II.
yeah.
But again, American on American. Point being, even the worst was civil. That doesn't count, so we'll say the worst was World War II at 291,557. Okay. U.S. 612,000 deaths from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Have we now suffered the most deaths from a foreign adversary ever? What does that lead to?
Right. Yeah.
Because everything you and I know, I mean, you're somewhat in the intelligence, or we're in the intelligence, roughly. We don't need to go more than me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can figure this shit out with Wikipedia, and just if it's coming down to the norm, by the time everyone finds out you need to buy Bitcoin, chances are it's not good.
It's too late.
It's like people are telling me that I'm like, something's up, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, buy like Bell Telegraph. It's gonna be big. I'm like, what? Union Railroads. I'm like, from sea to sea, and they're like, all right, Tom, those
war bonds.
Yeah, like we're gonna really suck Hitler. The next big thing. Don't say it to anybody. It's called radio. And so, when I hear about something like crypto, I know it's wrong. When I am hearing about it kind of coming back to Overton window shifting to it being Wuhan, to it coming out of a lab intentionally, the people in the intelligence communities know. They probably knew the day. They probably knew in December 2019 where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is this? What does this realistically mean? Is this because we've never had a war where it wasn't until the war was quote unquote over that we found out who did it? Does that make sense? It's like if we did 9/11 like 15 years later.
The other thing though that's kind of up in the air is the intent. Like, was it intentionally released, or was it by accident? Was it by lack of safeguards in play, or people being lazy in the lab, or whatever the hell it might have been? But the fact of the matter is that we weren't even, like, people like you and various other YouTubers, they weren't even allowed to even speculate. Like, no, it did not come from a lab. Fauci said it was, what the hell was the term that he said? Basically, it came naturally, right? It came out in nature, and it just happened to spread. And the shitty thing is now is that, like, and granted, I'm not an expert on this, but from what I've listened to and read about gain of function, that is where the real, like, scandal is. And that is why Fauci is in so much hot water. I mean, yeah, you can call him a hypocrite for telling people, like, oh, masks don't work now, double mask, all this other shit. Like, yeah. I'm not walking around with 2 diapers on my face, dude. You can go fuck yourself.
That was a great impression.
But yeah, the problem, and him being a hypocrite is definitely a problem. But the reason why he's in so much hot water is because of the gain of function. So basically, like, from my limited understanding, he's totally trusting of these Chinese scientists and the Chinese, having American funds to use at their, disposal for testing these type of viruses. And he thought everything was on the up and up. He didn't think in any way that this money could go back to the CCP or whatever the fuck. And now it's like, well, now it looks like it might have been, bro. So so you got to question. I say we don't know motive of the virus release, but you can question motive of why Fauci was, pretty much trying to cut that narrative off. Like, no, it didn't come from a lab, didn't come from a lab. And you know, on top of it, you get all these social media companies like banning people, and also you got all the fucking little misinformation, you know, warnings down on people's videos like yourself and stuff. And now the tables are turning. And I've been watching a lot of Crowder lately, and I think he's on to something. He's like, he says, and I tend to believe him, not on everything, but this definitely. He's like, I think they're trying to get out ahead of something.
Yes.
Like they're trying to do preemptive damage control.
Yes.
Something, yeah.
I think they're sacrificing Fauci.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're definitely, but I mean, and it's a damn shame that Americans are so fucking stupid, you know, by far and large, because Dr. Fauci back in the 80s and the 90s was telling everybody that AIDS was going to be a huge problem, that you could get it from you know, from just hanging out with people with AIDS. You didn't have to have sexual intercourse with them or anything. And it was going to kill like 500,000 Americans or some shit like that. And then like that fizzled out and didn't do anything. So I don't know why so many people like put so much faith in this dude, and they're the Branch Covidians and their fucking cultist ways, like with their hump pillows on their beds and action figures of Dr. It's fucking disgusting, dude, and it's pathetic. So
above all else, it's pathetic. It's
yeah.
I'm gonna try to, even though I think he deserves it, I'm gonna try to steer less at like crucifying Fauci, because ultimately he's a guy, and very well come out that he was complicit, and by all means he should be tried for that. But just for the sake of like, let's get to the bottom of it, it's very easy to say Dick Cheney is why we're in Iraq, and it's like, well, let's look at instead of just crucifying this guy, like what else happened? You know, they're bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey, and it's like, well, what else is going on? Why? How come the chief of the CIA counterintelligence had a file on Oswald from '59? Just gonna get So Fauci, although you're right. I mean, needs to be crucified, and let's play devil's advocate. Maybe he knew masks didn't work. Maybe it was a form of like psychological quelling. Let people think that there is something they can do.
Sure.
Maybe, maybe just for their own, so it doesn't result in a run on the banks and the grocery stores, which it did, but who knows? Maybe that was the least. And again, this isn't anything I necessarily believe, but I do think it's important to at least try to entertain an opposing idea. Maybe that had an effect of, hey, it's something you can do, taking a sugar pill because you with your cancer and it's a placebo, but if it provides you subjective peace of mind, okay, whatever, I'll give him that. It's not the end of the world. My problem with his intent with the Chinese Communist Party, they have an open stated goal of destroying the West and having world domination by 2049. So let's just make sure that that's hovering over everything. We know what.
Yeah, mind you, let me just add that they're not just doing it through biological warfare and currency manipulation. Like they have
unrestricted warfare. It's every facet.
They are building infrastructure with cell phone towers in Africa and South America, and they are cornering that market, man. And I mean, these people are allowing them access into their infrastructure. So it's fucking insane. Like I'm not trying to go off the rails, moment, but there was some kind of documentary that we watched at work, and actually a friend of mine that I was working with, she brought it up, but she's been in the intel community like a hell of a lot longer than I have. And we were watching this thing. I was like, this is fucking fascinating and terrifying at the same time. So, just how much world influence that they're buying, through selling a product, pretty much like, hey, we'll help develop these third world countries by giving you guys cell phone towers and our infrastructure. All we require is that you do not deny us backdoor access to all this other shit. Yep. So it's just fucking crazy, dude.
When you can't pay your debts, let us bring our warships there. Yeah, it's the Belt and Road Initiative. I think it's a 10-year, $5 trillion plan by the Chinese Communist Party to go all throughout the third world, primarily the continent of Africa as well as South America. We'll build you all this shit, give us backdoor access, which in the Internet of Things means complete control of Internet of Things. And in 2021, when everything is electronic, it's control of everything you have. And then when you inevitably cannot pay back your debts, hey, we'll clear the debts. Don't worry about it. We're going to build a Navy port there. Brigadier General Robert Spalding, who is a one-star general, flew B-2 Spirits, was on Obama's National Security Council, works at the Hudson Institute now. His book, Stealth War, which is on Audible, sponsor me, Audible, Jesus Christ. His book is on Audible. I had him on this podcast, episode 161. That's a fantastic read if you want to, because when you just say it, when it's you or me just saying it, it just looks like they took our jobs kind of stuff. It's like, no, the Chinese, they're building these advanced cell towers all throughout Africa and then South Mexico and shit, and they're going to...
5G shit's going to fry your brain.
But that's literally what they're doing. And that's from Brigadier General Robert Spalding. Sorry, Dr. Brigadier General Robert Spalding, who was on Obama's National Security Council and worked in the Obama White House. That's exactly what they're doing. And he says it before he says anything else. Respect your enemy. It's a beautifully complex and lethal tactic. Nonetheless, we have to confront it. So we know that's, and again, it's unrestricted warfare means you do it. So what's unrestricted warfare for me? I'm not just going to put out podcasts. I'm going to try to get bigger and bigger guests. Well, what else am I going to do? I'm going to post it on Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. And then what happens when I get perma-banned from Reddit? Well, I make another account. What happens when I get IP banned from Reddit in summer 2020, which is another story for another time? What happens when all 26 of my accounts get perma-banned? Well, I just send links to my friends. I'm like, hey, can you post this in this subreddit? With That's unrestricted warfare. What else do I do? I'm switching to better webcams, better lighting, better audio. I'm looking back over. How can I stutter less? How can I swear less? Should I stop saying faggot? Probably not. It's too much fun, right? Faggots, right? It's too much fun. Or as Louis C.K. says, it's not an affront to anyone who's homosexual. It just means someone's being a faggot, you know?
Yeah.
Faggot is... Yeah.
I fucking love that.
A faggot is someone who says people from Phoenix are Phoenician.
Phoenix are Phoenicians.
That's a faggot. He goes, it has nothing to do with about your sexual orientation. It's just when you were a kid, it's just being a faggot. You know, the kid that tells on you. Don't be a faggot.
Not supposed to use those. Shut up, faggot.
Anyone who thinks it's anything else, to me, they're the discriminatory person. Because I don't have a word in my vocabulary that's derogatory towards homosexuals. I don't. Asshole, but that's what I call everybody. If you're being
derogatory, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is.
Well, that's the thing is I don't even have a. But that's again another podcast. The point is unrestricted warfare, all right?
Yes, yeah.
The Chinese are being a bunch of faggots, all right? That's what they're doing, right? My unrestricted warfare is I put it on social media. I try to get better audio quality, video quality, listen back. What do I need to do? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be watching mineral oil PC videos till 3 a.m. if I have a podcast today. Maybe I should get a good night's sleep. I got to go to the gym so I'm refreshed and up and I'm awake. Take a cold shower because I hate it, but it wakes me up. I put on clean clothes. I meditate. I pray. I try to find some peace in my mind. Let's go have a great podcast. I come in here and it's only an hour, but let's give it my A game because when I'm going up against a Joe Rogan, who we could say is the United States, I have to use everything at my disposal to chip away at him because I can't get Post Malone or Elon Musk or Bernie Sanders or whoever. Mm-hmm. So I have to use everything I have, and I have to have like a 10-year plan on how I'm going to overcome him. Now, if I was truly doing unrestricted warfare, what else would I do? I would probably
This is gonna get dark.
Yeah, I was about to say this is about to get very dark. Do not take this. That's why I stuttered. I was like, "Whew, is this gonna be clipped out of context?" So for anybody listening to this is in context. This is I can't fucking see how long we've been recording. We're recording for about 30, 40 minutes. All right, this is in context. We're talking about unrestricted warfare. This isn't me. This is China. This is China being faggots. All right, don't be a faggot and take this out of context. All right. But if this was truly unrestricted warfare, you would harass him individually. You would do electronic warfare on his studio. You would harass his family. You would harass his loved ones. If you really went all out, you would hire mercenaries.
Right.
Now, if he was the United States, he would have mercenaries fighting, which is ultimately what you would conclude is, oh, he's going to win on the mercenary. Oh, actually, this is a perfect analogy. He is the United States. I'm not going to fight him individually. He's going to kick the shit out of me and then use me like a fleshlight. What can I do? I know you're smiling. What can I do is I can attack him on every other front, right? That is unrestricted warfare. So when you take that into consideration, you realize that flooding the border with fentanyl or pirating U.S. Classified R&D so that you don't have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Slowing the world down with COVID because an orange man's coming in and kicking your ass. These are all part and parcel of what they do. Now, that is why to bring it all back around. I am not too concerned with, I am concerned with intent, but I'm not, because I don't think we'll ever be able to find out the intent, because the very person who we're supposed to, because if the trail of crumbs stops at Wuhan lab, and then, like you said, the inevitable question comes out, well, now we just need to know what the intent was. Well, because we can't look further, because it's an event horizon, we can only trust them. Their past actions force my hand to assume it's unrestricted warfare, as published in the paper from 2 Chinese generals in the late 90s, titled Unrestricted Warfare. We see them doing it in every other facet, from manipulation of media to buying off to elite capture to everything. So if it comes down to, hey, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to think it really was an accident, because although terrible, it would mean that it was an accident.
Right, yeah.
If it comes down to we have to trust them, maybe it really was an accident, but tell me why they deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Right, exactly. Because while that might have been an accident, look at all the other bullshit that they're fucking doing. So, it's a damn shame that, like, and the media machine is so fucking bad in this country. Like,
not bad. They're doing exactly what they're designed for. They're paid off by the Chinese Communist Party. They're not stupid. They're not bad. They're doing their job.
You're right. And they're functioning the way that they're supposed to function, right?
Goebbels wasn't stupid or bad. He was bad. Goebbels wasn't stupid. He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do.
Right, yeah.
He was stupid. Well, yeah, as an American, it sure looks like he's not helping us out. That's what he's supposed to do. No German said, that Patton's a real asshole towards us.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Let him off the leash. So I can't look at the media and go, they're so bad. They're doing what they're being paid to do.
I guess what I meant to say is more that there's too many people in America that actually believe that these people are trustworthy and that they're getting the full picture. They're not being spun a narrative. And that goes for either side of the fucking aisle. I don't care if you're conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. You're getting fed a bunch of fucking lies. And it's a shame that we had that media apparatus do what they did to Donald Trump. And I'm not like a Donald Trump diehard fan. Like, I did like the guy. I thought he was a good president. And he definitely had his fucking flaws. For 2A, I fucking hated him. He was not good for 2A advocates. And but damn, was he bringing the fight to China? And that was really, like, we've had so much complacency with what China's been doing over years. I mean, look at fucking Hollywood right now. Look at John Cena's fucking pandering ass.
I know.
I mean, good grief, man. Like, because, and it's all because they want the highest profit margin. So, and it's kind of fitting that we're talking about this right now because, like, what month is it? It's fucking June. It's Pride Month. If you're gay, that's cool, man. Like, just don't shove it in my face. That's it. But look at all these corporations that are pandering to all these people. And it's because they want the most profit margin. And that's the same fucking thing that they did with Donald Trump, man. Like, there's so many people that stand to gain a lot more with Donald Trump out of office because he wasn't going to be pissing off Chinese. They could sell their products, so on and so forth. And it was disrupting the order, the order that we have right now. We're China's little fucking bitch. Mm-hmm. And now Biden's back in power and we are literally just bending over backwards for him. I mean, there was some dude that was giving some symposium in China. I can't remember what his title was, what the symposium was about, but he basically said, like, under Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. But now Biden's in office. And, like, there was a pause. And, like, the whole crowd was laughing. Like, yeah, Biden, that fucking stoolie. I'm like, yep, this is where we're at right now.
I like to imagine that there's, like, another play behind all of this and that we're letting China think they're taking us. And I know this gets into the realm of hopefulness, but I don't know. Part of me sees just, like, the demons in, like, the CIA. For better or worse, I don't see them, like, getting a train run on them by the Chinese. They're the kind of motherfuckers that would be like, let them think they're winning and then take everything from them. Like, let's just throw this out there. They come to the Chinese, CCP comes to the Biden campaign, says we can release this bioweapon. It's, like, not really a weapon. Like, it's not going to kill everybody.
Sure, yeah.
You'll be able to take you'll be able to take down his economy. You'll be able to ground the world to a halt. and you'll be able to release a vaccine that you don't actually need to release because it's just kind of the flu.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get in. In turn, you end the trade wars against us. Blah 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 blah. Sounds brilliant, right? And that's what I think happened. I think they helped with mail-in ballots. We know that there was a lot shipped from Beijing and the Shangzhou province.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which was my first episode banned, episode 370 with Claire Lopez, a 20-year veteran of the Central Intelligence Agency. But, whatever. Stupid conspiracies.
Yeah, we only fuck with other countries' elections. We don't fuck with our own, though.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, we've been wiping out leaders in South America all throughout the 50s and 60s. When JFK dies, a couple hours north of technically South America, hey, guys, that was Lone Gunman. That was a wacko, right?
Right.
Yeah. But again, whatever. Point is I do think that's what happens. I think that's a relatively bland conspiracy. Was COVID part of it? Maybe. I think it was more so they probably helped
Fortunate coincidence, maybe. Yeah.
I think probably more along those lines. Maybe it wasn't initially intended to tie in with the election, but it was more so bring down the economy, and then I think something along the lines of changing all the mail-in laws right before the election, complicity within the media. I don't think those were meant to work together. I think it was kind of like a pleasant surprise for them. Like, oh wait, we can use COVID to do mail-in ballots to.
Right. Yeah.
I think those were two separate operations. I do think that's what happened. I do. I don't think it's that sexy or that far-fetched. However, when you hear something like that, you tend to go, geez, man, the Chinese, man, they're 10 steps ahead of us. I tend to not think it's that simple. What would be the next step behind that? It would be the CIA monitoring all of this, being like, let it all go through. Stab them, and maybe they don't like Trump either, so they're like, hey, enemy of my enemy is my friend. We get Biden in, and then they come to Biden, they go, here's everything. We know what you're doing. We just let them think that they got you in office. Now we got our guy in office, and now, and it seems to be right on cue, now we can take our former allies, China, who helped get rid of Orange Man, and now we can start saying, man, was that a virus released from a lab? Now China's going, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's kind of like the beginning of The Dark Knight when each person's meant to shoot each other.
Oh, yeah.
Robbing the bank. No, wait. It's probably that. They were robbing the bank being Trump, getting rid of Trump, and now we're shooting the CCP. And I think that's what we're seeing very slowly. You see, Fauci is one of the robbers too, and he's getting shot in the back. Yeah, they used him.
They served his purpose, yeah.
They had aligned things. CCP and intelligence, military-industrial complex, both wanted him out. CCP wanted him out for obvious reasons, trade wars, economic wars. Military-industrial complex wanted him out. Why? Because Trump wanted to bring people home. Despite jacking up the U.S. budget, he did want to bring them home, which is a big no-no for the grinding gears of the complex.
Yeah, and the petrodollar. Yep.
Temporarily aligned views or desires. Let China do this thing, and then we can get a bang for our buck twice. We can let them do it, and then we can clutch our pearls and say, look what China did. And then we can jack up the budget even more for a stronger military. That's what I think it's going to be, and I think it's going to unroll slowly where it goes, where you're going to see it come out, and then you're even going to start seeing the Overton window shift to be like, was China involved in the election? Because the military-industrial complex already got what they wanted. They wanted Trump out, and they wanted just a stooge in there. Whatever. Different than like Bush or something.
Right, yeah.
Why would they not double dip and go, did you know China released the virus? Now China and Fauci are going, wait. We were in this together. And we're going like, sorry, fuckers.
No, we weren't.
That's what I think it is, man. I think if you and I can see what China's doing, I tend to think with the guys with the power to fucking hear Xi sleep probably have a plan. Maybe I'm optimistic. Maybe the intelligence community really is a bunch of faggots and they're like, wow, that's a great plan. And it's like, oh, Jesus, you guys are dumber than I am. In which case, the whole thing's fuck, smoke them if you got them. But
smoke them if you got them. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's quite certainly a possibility. And I mean, who knows? Like, all I know is like right now, shit just seems like all kinds of fucking haywire. So who knows? Maybe there are actual good people in these positions and in these intelligence communities that are actually maybe just playing their cards very close to the chest.
That's what I hope.
And maybe that is it. Maybe we're just a fucking coiled snake, right? Waiting for the right time to strike. Maybe that could be it.
It might be, man. It might. I mean, look, dude. We were using the Soviet Union to help us beat the Nazis and the Japanese. What do we now know we were also doing? Before the war was even over, we were planning for, now how do we flip this machine onto the Soviets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've done it before. Why would we not do it again? And I'm not for it. I'm not saying it was good. I liked Trump too. I'm not a diehard Trumper. I liked him. I thought he was a good president. I don't condone the removing of him if that's how they did it. However, at a much bigger picture outside of Trump, but rather the maintenance of empire, if that was the plan, that was an absolutely brilliant, because how else would you get China to get caught red-handed? You'd have to make them think we were working with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'd let Biden get the help, and then maybe Biden was read in the whole time. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was as soon as he got in, the CIA went in and it's like, here's the transcripts of the last 2 years. We know that the CCP got you in. We know that this is election fraud, and that is actually punishable by treason. You work for us now, and now we're going to fuck the Chinese. You can either go down in jail as a treasonous president, or you can go out as a war hero president as we take it to China. I don't think it's that far-fetched, man. I think that's probably how it happens at the rarefied air of those upper echelons.
I think, yeah. Well, I think no matter what theory anybody could come up with, the truth is probably a lot simpler in ways and yet stranger at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, like I'm not attributing that election fraud was rampant or whatever, but you can definitely see that things weren't on the up and up. Like there was definitely some. How can I word this? There's definitely some oddities that happened in a lot of states, and some questionable actions that were taken. So was it a huge freaking attempt to overthrow an actual election or whatever? I don't fucking know, dude. But all I know is that China was rejoicing when he fucking got voted in. So
that's what we have to look at. Is it? If Trump had lost, I honestly would not have been surprised at all. I think more people went out to vote against someone than ever in U.S. history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is fine. We're in a democracy. This isn't Tommy land. I know that
it's how it works, right? Yeah.
If more people hate him, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. Well, it does, but I go vote.
He was hard to like. I mean,
I completely get it. I truly do. I get the need. Hey, I don't mind having a boring old white guy in the White House. It's when everything else in life is haywire, sometimes you want someone up at the podium who's just my fellow Americans. Even if just to go, all right, someone's at, when you're on when you're on a 747 going through a hurricane in the middle of the ocean, everyone else can be screaming. You want that pilot who's just, everyone please sit down. We're gonna be handing out Coca-Cola and pretzels soon. We will be landing just on time. Even if that guy's thinking, "Oh, we're gonna fucking crash," you don't want him going, "Half this plane is ugly." Like you're like, "Fuck, dude." You want a Biden pilot. I like what Trump did, but I do understand the realistic. I mean, when you have his tweets shifting trillions of dollars of assets on Wall Street, that's not good. Like that's
right. Yeah.
You do want someone who's just. You just want a boring monotone. You don't want me heading up Apple. You want me doing a podcast. You want the head of your corporation to be a very vanilla, bipartisan guy, right? I'm with you, man. I get it. I get the need for Biden. I cannot say with a clear conscience that I think that election day, it was weird. It was objectively weird that 5 states stopped counting all at the same time and then resumed counting, and they all started reversing and went for.
Yeah.
I also accept that it seems like maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. Let's say I'm not seeing what I want to see. Let's say that that's objectively what happened. I'm also smart enough to acknowledge I think there are some bigger powers at work.
Yeah.
If someone goes, if it sounded like there was another gunshot from the grassy knoll, but once you really kind of break that down and go, oh, they wanted the president removed and they had the ability to remove the president, this might be bigger than me.
Right, exactly.
I think I'm just going to take the family to the lake tomorrow and just go on with my life. That was my final conclusion as I just realized, hey, if some powers had the ability to do that, they're moving and shifting things that I am just a sand on the ocean of, and I'm fuck it. I'll do
Right,
it.
yeah.
I'll do a podcast and sell faggot hoodies, whatever. You know, whatever. That's how I tend to look at it. I know you gotta take your kid to a party. So we'll wrap this up. What do you think about talking about intentions and things? Do you think the UFOs are going to be played off as a either Chinese, Russian, or foreign threat? Is this going to be used for a massive "we need funding now"?
Man,
That's what it's going to be.
That's fucking weird too, man. Because I've been wondering about this. My brother and I, we were just talking about this the other day. It's like, so do you think like they're real UFOs, or do you think like this is like some kind of fucking psyop or some shit? I was like, dude, I honestly don't know. Like, I could see it going either way. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe it started out as a psyop. Like, maybe that's what happened. They were testing some shit out in Roswell back in the 60s, and maybe something got let out, and they're like, oh, fuck, we need to cover this up. Like, and they just started doing a psyop, and now maybe things are actually happening. Like, these beings are actually coming to us and being like, yo, what the fuck's going on down here? Like, I don't fucking know. I honestly don't know. The good question though is just because we can't identify the technology doesn't necessarily mean that it's it's otherworldly.
Sure.
So then that might also play into the whole psyop thing. I don't know, dude, and I try to keep up on it as much as possible, but it is like a fucking rabbit hole every time. Like, I watch Tim Pool or somebody talk about UFO sightings off the coast of Virginia, which is right here, and it's always on military targets too, man. But then again, and that draws a lot of questions in and of itself. It's like, why are they only checking out military targets? Like, is this preemptive, like
Surveillance,
scouting? Yeah, surveillance. I don't fucking know. What do you think? I've watched a couple of videos from. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the YouTube guy, Alan Greer, or whatever the hell his name is, or
Stephen Greer.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Stephen Greer.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's been saying for like the past decade that there will be a false flag alien invasion to jack up funding. This is exactly what he's been saying. So, I want it to be aliens, as does I think everybody, but just looking again, kind of China unrestricted warfare. When it comes down to what was the intention, they've kind of lost the benefit of the doubt. They've lost that right. When I just look back at like the USS Maine or the Lusitania or the Gulf of Tonkin or WMDs, 14 days to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
I tend to look at it and go, it's never what they say it is. And that's not some America bad. I think it's just we've been shown objectively that it's never what they say it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
Even now, a year, Fauci's emails coming from a lab. Yeah, you can go back a year on this podcast and see us going, we're going to find out one day where this came from. So I think we're getting steamrolled right now, like you said, with Korea. It's the fire hose of information, and it's so baffling that you almost don't have time to question it, because whether it's aliens or not, the reality is there are objects moving at like Mach 200.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether that's skunkworks or aliens, they're equally insane.
Right.
That means humans have achieved this, or it means aliens are here. I don't know which one's weirder.
The funny thing though is if it is really fucking aliens, that just makes like China like the big fish, and still a very, very big, or like a tiny fish comparatively big to everybody else in the world, but universally just a small fish. Like they're a fucking mud hut. Right.
Right. That's what it is, right? Is like that's some warlord thinking they're the new big dick on the block, and then America does like a flyby with like a couple F-22s, and it's like, what are those? Maybe China just took over the world, and it's just these things zipping down at light speed, and it's like, oh, hello.
Say hi to Tommy.
Hi.
Hello. Talking about UFOs and stuff.
What's going on? Sorry.
I'll let JP. I'll let you go.
All right. Yeah. It's
time
to get it ready.
Well, we were scheduled to end in 2 minutes anyway, so.
All right. Cool. Well, then that worked. Good time. Yeah.
Very good timing. JP would have never shut his mouth, so thank you. All right, big man. I love you, dude.
Let's do it again, though. Yeah, man. Love you too. Good talking to you. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, don't be a stranger. And if there is some big UFO revelation in the coming weeks, I'm just gonna end up calling you at an odd hour, then being like, "We need a podcast now."
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
Like,
3 a.m. I don't care.
Like, stop contacting me. I'll be like, I'm outside your house. Come on.
We'll do it live. Yeah.
I have a billboard that says "Take us." You'll be like, dude, I have a. All right, big man. I'll see you.
All right, man.
Later, buddy.